a lot about what is 2 miles and 3 miles down. It isn't being shared with the public, but our government and probably other governments know quite a bit.
What if I told you that the most shocking discovery in the world might be hidden not in a lab, but beneath miles-thick ice in Antarctica? And what's even more surprising is that the people who claim to have seen it were told to stay silent for years. This is not a movie story. This is the story of investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe, who spent nearly 25 years talking to different people and trying to uncover the layers of this mystery. Navy officers, scientists, pilots, contractors, and people connected to NORAD. Most of them didn't even know each other. Yet, one thing kept coming up in their stories: the claim that something existed beneath the Antarctic ice that simply shouldn't have been there. But one thing needs to be made clear. This is not a proven fact yet, but a mysterious story based on the testimonies of these people and Linda's investigation. So, what exactly did these people see? Is there really a thousands of years old secret buried beneath the ice? And if there is, why was there a need to hide it from the world? Stay with the video until the end, because the testimony that comes next is going to take this entire story in a completely different direction. Before we move ahead with the video, please subscribe to the channel so you can watch such videos first. One day in 1998, Linda Moulton Howe received a phone call. On the other side was a retired Navy flight engineer. He was more than 70 years old, and perhaps he himself felt that he did not have much time left. So he decided that what he had been keeping inside for nearly 20 years now needed to be told to someone. He told Linda about an incident from 1982. At that time, he was part of a supply flight going from McMurdo Station to a remote research camp located deep inside Antarctica. During the flight, the aircraft suddenly developed some technical problem, and they were forced to land on an open mound in the middle of the ice. The others started working on the aircraft, but then the engineer noticed something on a high area nearby. Something strange was visible there. Among the ice were shapes that were completely straight, angular, and extremely organized. At first, he thought maybe these were some strange natural formations of ice. But when he went a little closer, he saw the upper part of a very large structure. And this is where things became frightening. The thing looked neither like normal rock nor like ice. Looking at it, it seemed as if someone had built it. But before he could get any closer, a sudden order came over the radio: return to McMurdo immediately. When they returned, the crew was questioned separately. Their flight records were classified, and they were made to sign new secrecy agreements. They were simply made to understand that they were never to talk about what they had seen. The engineer remained silent for nearly 20 years. Then he told Linda everything. Linda checked his military records, dates, coordinates, and even the names of people connected with that flight. Many things were matching up. But one question still remained. If he was not the only man, then who else had seen the same thing? After hearing the first witness, Linda did not immediately take it to the world. She knew that such a big claim could not be accepted as true just because one man said it. So she kept all his information safe and waited. But perhaps even she had no idea what was going to happen next. After some time, other people started contacting her. Then a third and a fourth. The most surprising thing was that most of these people did not even know each other. Some were connected to the military, some to scientific programs, while others had worked on different kinds of missions in Antarctica. Then a geophysicist told her something that took this story in a new direction. His job was to use ice-penetrating radar to detect things inside the ice. In other words, it was a radar that could pass through thick ice and give an idea of structures and empty spaces below. During one survey, the radar showed some very large empty spaces. Now, finding empty spaces by itself was not a very big thing. Natural caves and cavities can exist in Antarctica, but according to this scientist, These spaces were not normal. Their depth and shape seemed much more organized. In some areas, there appeared to be a kind of geometric regularity that started to trouble him. When he showed the data to his supervisor, his attitude suddenly changed. Within just a few hours, the data was classified. After that, the entire team was transferred to different places. And the strangest thing, the scientist never got to see that data again. Now the question in front of Linda had changed. The first question was, did someone see something beneath the ice? But now the question was there really some kind of structure or anomaly beneath the ice that someone felt the need to hide? And the next witness was going to go even further. He was not just claiming to have seen some anomaly. He said that he had seen something there that he could not consider natural under any circumstances. Until now, Linda had a few different stories from different people. But then one testimony came forward that took this story from just a strange sight to something that was supposedly present beneath the ground. A person connected to a Navy Seabee construction battalion said that he was sent to an excavation site that was quite far from the normal research stations. There was no ordinary scientific research happening there. Their only job was one thing: to keep drilling downward into the ice. As they kept going deeper, they expected to find only ice and rocks. But when they reached the bottom of the shaft, what they claimed to see left them shocked. There were some walls and surfaces that looked like metal. The surface was extremely smooth, and its structure did not look like any normal geological formation. That man had only one question in his mind. If this was not natural, then who built it? The same question later appeared in the account of an Argentine scientist. During research work connected to Esperanza Base, there was a claim that some unusual things were found in extremely old ice cores. But whenever military personnel arrived there, they took those samples with them. Later, there was no public record of them, and no research paper about them ever appeared. After this, a pilot also told another strange story. According to him, there was a restricted area in Antarctica that did not appear on normal public maps. Flying there required an unusual level of military clearance. When he asked his senior what was actually there, he got only one answer: sensitive research. And along with that came a clear instruction: do not ask any more questions about it. Now, Linda did not just have different stories from different people. All these accounts were slowly pointing in the same direction. A pattern had formed. But to turn that pattern into the complete picture, one final and most important piece was still needed. In 2016, Linda found a person whose testimony seemed to connect all the accounts that had been collected over the previous years in one place. He was a retired NORAD officer. He had previously had access to classified information, and he had been part of an alleged Antarctic expedition in the early 2000s. What was surprising was that there was no clear public record of the expedition he was talking about. When he started speaking to Linda, she listened carefully, because his account was connecting with what the earlier people had told her. According to him, nearly 2 miles beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet, there were structures that he did not consider natural. His claim was that these structures appeared to have been built in an extremely organized and precise way. But the real shock was still to come. According to him, these structures were not just a few thousand years old. The claim was that they existed from before the last ice age. That means from a time when Antarctica was not the frozen world we see today. During that period, the environment there was much warmer, and scientific evidence shows that vegetation existed in parts of Antarctica. If the witness's claim is accepted, these structures could be more than 12,000 years old. Think about what that would mean. This would be before the early civilizations of Sumer, before the early dynasties of Egypt. In other words, before the civilizations we usually count among the oldest civilizations in human history. Now, The story was no longer just about some military secret. If this claim was true, then it raised questions about the entire timeline of human history. But one question was still the biggest. If these things were so old, then when did the modern world first find out about them? After the NORAD officer's testimony, the story suddenly starts going backward, straight to the 1940s. According to this claim that appeared in Linda's reporting, the first information about these alleged structures beneath Antarctica may have come during Operation Highjump. Operation Highjump was a major Antarctic expedition led by Admiral Richard Byrd between 1946 and 1947. Its official purposes included establishing research stations and preparing to work in extremely difficult polar conditions. But according to the witness, seismic surveys carried out during that time showed some anomalies beneath the ice that could not easily be explained at the time. The claim also says that people were not allowed to discuss these anomalies too much. After that, the story moves forward through several decades. According to Linda's reporting, besides the United States, Russia and later China also showed interest in Antarctic missions about which very little public information was available. Here it is important to understand one difference. On one side were the normal scientific research programs carried out publicly, and on the other side, according to witnesses, there were some operations that were not made completely public. According to the claims, the purpose of these missions was not only to study ice and weather. In some places, there were also attempts to excavate, investigate underground structures, and allegedly recover things from there. Some routes were said to pass through natural ice caves, while other locations were allegedly reached through drilling. And then came perhaps the biggest claim in this story. According to some of Linda's sources, technology or equipment was recovered from there that could still work to some extent and was being studied in secret facilities. If there were only thousands of years-old walls there, the story would still be extraordinary. But if technology had also been found there, then the question became even bigger. Who had built that technology? After hearing so many testimonies, it was completely natural for Linda to ask the journalist's question. Prove it. Just because someone says something does not make such a huge claim true. So she asked the NORAD officer for more solid information. According to Linda's reporting, the officer provided some coordinates where these structures were allegedly located. Some internal documents also came forward. Large parts of these documents had been blacked out, but in some places, project designations and other information could still be seen. The officer also provided the names of some people who were allegedly connected with these operations. Now, Linda's next task began, finding these people and trying to verify their information in different ways. The different testimonies she had collected over nearly 20 years were now slowly fitting into a framework. Things that had seemed separate before were beginning to show clear similarities. But the deeper she went into this story, the more she realized that the case was much bigger than she had expected. And during this time, she met another person who made the story even more mysterious. He was a military contractor who had been part of an alleged secret drilling operation in 2003. At that time, he had been assigned to help reach a specific location beneath the Antarctic ice. But many years later, he was suffering from a serious illness. He knew that he probably did not have much time left. And perhaps because of that, he decided that he would not take everything he had seen there with him. He agreed to speak with Linda. He told her that he had been lowered down through an ice tunnel. But the real question was still left. How far down had he gone beneath the ice, and what had he seen when he got there? In that alleged 2003 drilling operation, the contractor was lowered down through an ice tunnel. There was a platform beneath his feet that was slowly moving downward. The light above him was getting smaller every moment. All around him, there was only white and blue ice. It was so quiet that he could clearly hear the sound of his own breathing. As he went deeper, he felt like he was reaching a place where humans had probably never been before. Then suddenly, everything changed. According to him, after reaching about a mile down, the ice ended. The wall in front of him was smooth and looked like metal. The strangest thing was not just the wall. The temperature there felt different. The sound was different too, and even the air seemed to have changed. He felt as if he had suddenly stepped out of the ice and into a closed room. Ahead was a huge open space. Strange markings and geometric patterns could be seen on the walls. His team simply stood there for some time, looking at them. Nobody had an answer for what they were. Then he looked ahead. There was a door in the distance. It was not a natural crack, but an entrance that clearly looked like it had been built. But the contractor and his team were not allowed to go any further. After some time, scientists and military personnel arrived there. They had special equipment and were moving toward the door very calmly. It looked as if they had not come there for the first time. The contractor was sent back to the surface. Later, he was given a substantial bonus and made to sign a secrecy agreement that threatened legal action if he revealed the secret. He stayed silent for years. Then he was diagnosed with cancer, and he felt that there was no point in taking this secret with him. He told Linda, "People should know. We found something there." But this man who claimed to have... After the story of that underground door, more people started coming to Linda. Now the testimonies were not limited to structures beneath the ice. Some people claimed to have seen evidence that made the story even more complicated. A satellite imagery analyst said that he had seen the original images of some specific coordinates in Antarctica. According to him, when the same data was later made public, those locations were not simply given lower resolution, but some parts were deliberately blurred or removed. He claimed that before processing, the images showed some straight-line shapes that did not look natural to him. When he questioned his supervisors, he was not given much information. He was simply told that these areas came under special access protocols and that this was not his subject. After this, the testimony of a material scientist came forward. He talked about some samples allegedly recovered from Antarctica. According to him, they showed signs of alloys that did not easily match the databases he knew. They were claimed to have certain properties such as corrosion resistance and strength-to-weight ratio. Not only that, according to the witness, their manufacturing characteristics were also such that they could not be easily reproduced with today's normal technology. Then, an NSF Antarctica logistics coordinator claimed to have seen some equipment lists. Those lists included industrial excavation machinery, sealed containers kept under the watch of armed personnel, and shipments sent through Department of Defense channels. If these